Well, thank you, Jennifer, for passing the glass. My name is Greg Koch. I have spent my whole career in the water management, water risk, and corporate water stewardship space. One of the statistics I wish everyone knew is 1 trillion US dollars. And that is a funding gap over the next 20 years, a funding gap versus planned investments in water-related infrastructure in the United States. Water-related infrastructure, water piping, wastewater piping, and the treatment plants that go along with them, stormwater infrastructure, it's out of sight. And unfortunately for a lot of people, it's out of mind. The Utah Water Research Laboratory produced a report at the end of last year that identified a funding gap of $450 billion in water distribution piping, meaning the piping that needs to be replaced and actively versus wait till something fails. So that's part of that $1 trillion. The United States Environmental Protection Agency issued a report to Congress early this year, 2024, that identified $630 billion in needed investments in wastewater treatment to protect surface water quality. The response at the federal level, there was legislation passed here in the United States that provided $50 billion in water-related infrastructure. So $50 billion against a gap in funding of $1 trillion. The perspective that I wish everyone had around water is a distinction between water, the substance, and water services. And this links to water pricing and where does the money come from to fill that $1 trillion demand. So let me start with things that you normally buy. Let's say petrol, diesel, gasoline for your car. You don't see it. You do buy a volume of fuel, but what you're really buying is mobility. When you buy electricity, you're actually paying for an amount and a rate of energy delivery to your home or to your business. But you don't think about electrons and kilowatt hours. You think about lighting, security, entertainment, communications, all the things that we do with electricity. What happens when we get to water? Water is a human right. Water is essential for life. And so people expect water, the substance, to be free, and they often conflate the two. If water is so essential, then why should I be paying for it? And the perspective change is to look at water like you look at other things that you buy from a utility standpoint, like petrol, like electricity, and recognize that to get clean water to your home and business, to remove wastewater and treat it before it's returned to the environment, to manage stormwater, all of these things take capital investment, they take land, they take energy, they take labor, and those are services that have a value to them and a cost to them. So the distinction between water, the substance, and water services, I think, is a perspective that I wish everyone had, because then they would appreciate what those services do for them and what they bring to them, and therefore how they should be valued and priced. You have to recognize that there are the poor, the underserved may not have the resources to pay for that. But it leads me to look at an example, and there are many others, but if I look at South Africa, by law, the first 50 liters per person per day in a household is free. And then there's an escalating tariff structure that the more water you use, the more you have to pay. And built into that tier structure is enough funding to pay for that 50 liters per person per day. What gives me hope? What gives me hope is the rising cost of water and wastewater, and in some places around the world, even stormwater. Now, no one likes to pay more taxes, no one likes to pay higher fees, but when you recognize the importance of water, wastewater, stormwater management, how grossly underfunded it is, it gives me hope to see that from a consumer price index, and this is a calculation that's made in the United States, when you look at how energy, gas, natural gas, other utilities are rising, their costs are rising. Water is actually outpacing water, wastewater, stormwater, other utilities, and that's a sign that governments, regulators, and the societies that support them are seeing that there is this funding gap, and they need to raise higher fees, and that comes through being transparent with the populace who has to bear the burden of that. I also have hope by looking at innovation. I recently looked at East Bay Municipal Utility District, East Bay MUD, and that's the water utility service that serves a greater part of the San Francisco Bay Area. They're doing groundwater banking and surface water transfers, working with farmers and irrigators to use excess surface water in the summer, or rather when it's plentiful, and bank groundwater, i.e. the farmers aren't using that. And so innovations like that, a recognition that more money needs to be raised and dedicated to infrastructure, gives me hope. I'd now like to pass the glass to Todd Reeve. Todd is the CEO of the Bonneville Environmental Foundation. Todd he has all my respect. He has his finger on the pulse on local water issues all over the world, and I look forward to hearing his Water Matters videos. So here's to you, Todd.